What I'm saying is we have to understand, we have to at least ask ourselves, around the world, you here in England, wherever you are, what is it doing to us?
Barbie and Oppenheimer's updates have become a sensation in the showbiz industry, but there's another movie causing a buzz online, Sound of Freedom. This film is shedding light on the dark side of Hollywood and getting some controversial remarks from some Hollywood moguls. But not everyone's on the same side. Despite differing opinions, some actors are openly supporting the movie, which also includes Denzel Washington. Throughout his career, Denzel has fearlessly spoken out against the shady secrets that lurk in Hollywood's corridors. And this time, he is pulling no punches. He is openly slamming Hollywood elites for keeping the movie from a wider audience. So what exactly did Denzel say, and what secrets has he exposed about Hollywood? Let's break it down. But before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and become a part of our daily Screen Rants. Sound of Freedom has emerged as a recent Hollywood triumph, shedding light on the distressing issue of child trafficking and uncovering the dark side of the industry. However, its portrayal of this reality has sparked a significant backlash from some Hollywood elites who feel uneasy about the movie's exposure. Amidst the controversy, Denzel Washington, the acclaimed Oscar-winning actor, director, and producer, has openly voiced his support for the film. Denzel believes that Sound of Freedom bravely reveals the unsettling truth about certain Hollywood moguls who wield power from the comfort of their opulent multimillionaire residences while trying to control the industry. Denzel's support is not surprising, given his history of taking a stand against the questionable tactics of Hollywood. Recently, he even turned down a movie role to avoid being subject to the control of these elites who seek to suppress artistic freedom. In joining forces with Mel Gibson, Denzel Washington champions the importance of exposing the hidden realities within the entertainment world. In a candid interview with Hollywood Reporter, Denzel Washington fearlessly called out the arrogance and disconnection of Hollywood's elite from everyday people. He emphasized that making movies should be put into perspective, stating that it is not as difficult as some claim, especially when compared to the challenges faced by people in real-life situations, like sending their loved ones to war. The esteemed actor also addressed the declining ratings of big Hollywood award shows, attributing it to the overemphasis of pushing identity politics onto viewers. He expressed the weariness of the public towards the so-called woke Hollywood elites, who seem to consider themselves above everyone else, lecturing and patting themselves on the back while living in luxurious mansions. Denzel Washington's grounded perspective sets him apart, and he voiced his disdain for such behavior among his colleagues in the entertainment industry. He believes that when Hollywood figures show humility and a realistic view of their privilege, they gain the respect and admiration of the public. For Denzel, making movies should be seen as a luxury and a gift rather than an exaggeratedly heroic endeavor, and that's the reason he's supporting Sound of Freedom. Interestingly, Denzel found support in Mel Gibson, who also stands for the movie. Together, they seem to share a common perspective on the need for humility and authenticity in the industry. But Mel Gibson has some more to share. Before we get into the details, let's have a quick review of the core concept of the movie Sound of Freedom and why it is causing so much stir. Sound of Freedom, a gripping thriller centered around a former Homeland Security agent's battle against human trafficking, has been a major box office success, grossing an impressive $124 million since its release on July 4th. Surprisingly, during the weekend of July 21 to 23, it even outperformed Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, securing third place in earnings, closely trailing behind the blockbuster Barbenheimer. Despite its success, the movie remains relatively unknown to many, which is precisely what Denzel Washington is advocating against. He stands against the overshadowing of impactful films like Sound of Freedom by bigger Hollywood productions. The film is based on the true story of Tim Ballard, a former U.S. Department for Homeland Security agent portrayed by Jim Caviezel, renowned for his portrayal of Jesus in Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ. Ballard's character conducts daring sting operations to rescue a young brother and sister from human trafficking in Colombia, unveiling a dark underbelly of this global crime. While the movie portrays real-life individuals like Ballard and his wife, Catherine Ballard, it also includes fictionalized versions of some characters, drawing inspiration from actual tracking victims and perpetrators encountered during Ballard's rescue missions. Controversy has surrounded Sound of Freedom, with some experts challenging its factual accuracy. Critics argue that the film sensationalizes child trafficking, particularly by depicting children being snatched and kidnapped by strangers. However, organizations like Polaris, which operates the United States National Human Trafficking Hotline, note that most trafficking survivors are victimized by individuals they know, including romantic partners and even family members. As the movie continues to soar at the box office, it highlights the pressing issue of human trafficking, while also promoting discussions about the importance of factual accuracy in cinematic portrayals of such sensitive topics. Tim Ballard himself has been part of the film's press tour, although he recently distanced himself from the group he founded, Operation Underground Railroad. In a recent interview with Rolling Stone, Aaron Albright, a seasoned attorney in the anti-trafficking field, raised concerns about the movie, Sound of Freedom, and its portrayal of trafficking. Albright criticized the film for being sensational and perpetrating unhelpful and harmful myths about trafficking. She argued that such depictions, like forceful kidnappings and imprisonment, make it challenging for people to understand the more intricate and complex cases of trafficking involving coercive control and psychological manipulation. According to Albright, when juries expect trafficking cases to resemble action-packed movies like Taken, it becomes difficult to obtain convictions in situations where subtle coercion is involved. This lack of understanding can be detrimental to survivors, making it harder for them to seek justice and find support. In response to the criticism, distributor Angel Studios acknowledged in a blog post that the movie took creative liberties in depicting different methods of child trafficking. They clarified that while instances of children being transported in various vehicles do exist, the majority of trafficking occurs through a manipulative grooming process. Angel Studios also highlighted that the film includes real security camera footage from kidnappings, but they stressed that such incidents represent the minority of trafficking cases. It's crucial to recognize that the grooming process plays a more significant role in the majority of trafficking situations. Some critics of Sound of Freedom have expressed concerns about its popularity among supporters of QAnon, a far-right conspiracy group that promotes baseless claims about former President Trump fighting against a network of satanic child abusers in government, entertainment, and the media. The association with this group has further sparked debate about the movie's impact and message. Now, the movie itself doesn't delve into any QAnon conspiracy stuff. The CEO of Angel Studios, Neil Harmon, straight up said it's not about politics or any of those wild theories. But yep, you guessed it, some QAnon peeps are still jumping on the Sound of Freedom bandwagon. The movie star, Jim Caviezel, has been vocal about QAnon views before and has even spoken at their events. He believes in some far-fetched idea called adrenochroming, claiming that Hollywood big shots are harvesting special substances from kids' blood. Okay, that's a bit out there. Even former President Trump is in on it. He's shared QAnon-related stuff on social media before and publicly supported the movie. He referred to Sound of Freedom as a very important film and encouraged people to watch it, even hosting a screening at his golf club in New Jersey. The movie's association with QAnon supporters has generated controversy and discussion on social media platforms. Some moviegoers have claimed that they were forced to evacuate the theaters during screenings of Sound of Freedom, which has caused a stir surrounding the film. But it is not as simple as it sounds to be. If you ask Denzel Washington and Mel Gibson, it's actually part of a concentrated effort to suppress the prevailing message of the movie. Just like Denzel, Mel Gibson has also openly supported the notion of stopping child trafficking. In fact, he was among the first ones who asked the audience to encourage such a stance. Interestingly, after the movie's release, an interview from 1998 resurfaced where Mel Gibson discussed the evils of Hollywood. Though not explicitly linking his statements to the film's themes, some have drawn a connection. Elijah Schaefer, a movie producer and host of the Slightly Offensive podcast, tweeted about the interview, suggesting that Gibson's support for Sound of Freedom might be related to his prior warnings about the dark side of Hollywood. In the interview, Gibson talks about having weird, paranoid suspicions about Hollywood when he first entered the industry. While he initially dismissed these thoughts as insane, some of his worst fears were later validated. He mentions expecting betrayal and uses a vivid metaphor of a knife going into his back. During the interview, Gibson shares a chilling encounter with a celebrity he found to have a cold and unsettling presence, making him nervous. Although not initially named, he eventually reveals the celebrity to be Chris Walken, jokingly referring to him as the Antichrist. Throughout the interview, Gibson's serious tone adds an eerie aura to his words, hinting at something dark hidden in Hollywood that he wants to expose.
Believe me, I did a lot of research on it, and according to all the research, it was way worse than that.
No, there have been a lot of obstacles thrown in the way. You know, there's a lot of, what would you call it, poltergeist activity or something.
While Gibson has promoted Sound of Freedom on social media, his actual involvement in the film remains uncertain. In the past, actor and filmmaker Mel Gibson was wrongly attributed to alarming statements about Hollywood elites engaging in disturbing practices involving children. These claims were later debunked by a fact check conducted by Newsweek. According to the alleged comments, Gibson was said to have accused Hollywood of being involved in institutionalized pedophilia and the gruesome consumption of children's blood and flesh to gain life force. Despite the controversies surrounding him, Gibson remains committed to promoting his movie, Sound of Freedom, which aims to shed light on the issue of human trafficking. He, along with Jim Caviezel and Ashton Kutcher, has been vocal about this cause in the past. While his Hollywood journey has had its ups and downs, his dedication to the film's message is evident. Not only Gibson, but Denzel also shares the same idea and remains resilient and determined to make a positive impact in the industry. However, it remains to be seen if Hollywood elites will allow them to be vocal about their agenda. What are your thoughts about this matter? Share in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more scandals like this, gossipers. See you on the next rumor.